How do brokers see their role in the credit insurance and surety world in the future? While looking into the opportunities for end-to-end connectivity for insurance business partners. So within the credit and surety insurance industry, many market participants are involved, and especially the collaboration between the clients, the brokers, and insurers is of particular importance for ensuring success. So I will hand over to Lara Biermann, Head of Sales and Credit and Surety at SCHUMANN, and over to you.
Thank you, Robert, and a warm welcome to the audience. Thank you for joining our panel on opportunities for end-to-end connectivity of insurance business partners. A very bulky title, but I promise it will be very interesting. I'm very pleased to sit here with Jay Hopkins. He's the Divisional Director, Technology and Partnership for Howden, and Karl Höstermann, Managing Director and in-house lawyer at Gracher Kredit- und Kautionsmakler. So thank you very much for joining us. Today we're speaking a little bit about the broker business, and maybe as a starting question, would you like to outline briefly, like what's the current role of a broker in the credit and surety market? Jay, would you like to start?
Yeah, of course. A great question to kick this panel off. I think fundamentally the role of the broker is to provide as much value as they can to their client. That's who we represent typically in our transactions, and that's who we need to search for value for. If you look at Howden CAP, which stands for Capital Advisory and Placement, I'm going to focus on the A and the P there. So on the advisory piece, we've hired a suite of in-house lawyers, regulatory lawyers, ex-investment bankers that are project finance experts, trade finance experts, and they can really articulate the deal to the insurers, which then takes me on to the P, the placement side of things. Obviously, we've been in the insurance market for over 30 years now. As a company, we have absolute expertise in this space. So yeah, it's about finding the right insurance partners for your deal. So going back full circle, it's all about value to the client for me.
Mm-hmm. So Karl, 30 years in the business. How do you see the role of the broker?
Lara, first of all, let me thank you for being invited and have the chance to give a view on the broker side from Gracher. From our perspective, as being the #1 broker in Germany, we think we are a benefit for both parties being involved, from the insurance side as well as from the client side. We provide the insurance partners with a very deep and solid market experience and knowledge, and of course the information they need from the customer side to find the best solution for that client. So in summary, both parties involved benefit from having a broker in between, and we believe that under all aspects, processes are getting leaner, faster, more efficient, and at the very end, simply better.
So we're talking about tech today. So would you give us a little bit of an insight on the current status in regard of technology usage within the broking business? Jay, would you like to start?
Absolutely. I think it's a really interesting question, to be honest with you, because things have changed so rapidly over the last few years. You know, COVID hit, everybody had to become more digitally enabled. But within Howden, we've got the market's most mature structured credit placement platform. It's been around for the best part of 20 years, and there's been a number of different iterations. We initially tried to solve the problem of inefficiency. And that is a problem that we successfully solved until other brokers started trying to create their own applications. And then this really gave rise to another problem, and that was on the insurer side of things. Now insurers are no longer monitoring their email inbox and a single platform run by Howden. They're monitoring 10, 15 different platforms, all created by different brokers. So in a marketplace where the quote to bind ratio is incredibly low, it's around 15% for structured credit, this makes the insurer's job quite tricky. So it's all about how can we solve the next problem, and that's why I think the market's at a bit of a crossroads at the moment. What do we do next?
Mm-hmm.
If it's 15%, I would be satisfied, so to say. We see it on a very low level, both sides. There are some bilateral tools in the place. So the insurer have their own tools, they're using their tools, offering to the clients. And of course, they like to have that in place and used by the clients, but it's not the end and the final solution I see. We need to have multifunctional tools like the software we developed in-house for our clients and to provide a true service. It doesn't make any sense to have a bilateral solution because then in-house you have to consolidate all your numbers, retype them in. This is time consuming or wasting. It's triggered by errors, by mistakes. It's not a funny job to do. So you do need to have one true software and application to deal the overall process, to have your reports. And as I remember from my days being the head of corporate finance at Hochtief in Essen, when I started some 25 years ago, money market deals and FX transactions were done by phone. And later on, we had web-based applications, which makes all the processes much faster, more efficient, more transparent, and less costly. And this is something I believe we need to achieve for the surety industry as well.
So both of you underline that the broker is very important, of course, as a part of the business. You're the people in front selling, managing most of the time the contracts as well. So speaking about your close collaboration with the insurers then, do you see a demand on the side of the insurer for brokers to become more digital? Is that something that you experience in your day-to-day life?
Another really good question, and if you don't mind, Carl, I'll jump in
Absolutely,
here.
yeah.
So,
Please.
having led a number of API projects with insurers, so actually trying to solve the problem that I just raised. So instead of giving the insurers another platform to log into and monitor, we can plug directly into the insurer systems. So I've led a number of these projects in the market and have really spoken to pretty much all of the insurers out there about this. There seems to be two distinct camps. So in the first camp, we have insurers that are all for it. They're absolutely keen to get API integrations, and we've successfully done that with those insurers. Then in the second camp, there are insurers that kind of just want to wait and see what happens, see where the market goes, and see what everybody else shifts toward. However, having spoken to insurers in the marketplace, I think that everybody is supportive of APIs, and actually this solves the new big problem that insurers are facing.
So Carl, you're already looking
Yeah,
a little bit
I would agree. I mean, from our perspective, they are a little bit reluctant. You know, they're not the first movers in this area, but they finally understand that they have to offer something. Yeah, it makes their life easier as well. If you have a normal process, application or whatever, then they can handle it, so to say, in a straight-through processing. Nobody has ever to look at it. All numbers are correctly, they could automatically be checked by the machine, and then everything is done without having anyone in the industry to have a look on this individual normal document, for example. Of course, today they're a little bit low and slow because they like to have their individual solutions, but sooner or later, like Jay said, it's an overall solution, like we have our banking app today in our phones. It's one app for all banking accounts you manage. And it used to be one for each bank, and this disappeared. So I believe it's a question of time to see those solutions in our industry as well. And this is then state of the art, not today.
So before we dive into advantages of a digital broker, I have more of a provocative question, I guess. So maybe, like you talked a little bit about insurers being a little bit more laid back when it comes to digital transformations. Do you think maybe a digital broker would be a threat to an insurer?
I think it's quite clear no. I mean, insurers shouldn't see digital brokers as a threat. Being a digital broker enables us to provide the best possible service to the client and to the insurer. Digitization or digitalization enables us to minimize the amount of touch points that are involved in a policy placement, which minimizes the error or the risk of error, as Carl has mentioned before. I think that we're pushing ahead in this space because we can move fast. And I work in collaboration with ITFA, the International Trade and Forfeiting Association. And one thing I've done is actually gone out and interviewed insurers, brokers, and banking clients and said, right, whose job should it be to innovate in this space? Everybody, including the brokers, have said, yes, it should be the brokers.
Good news.
Yeah.
So Karl, for the German market.
I couldn't
market
agree
leader.
more. It's the same way in Germany. We believe it's also for parts of the market which would not be able to earn the cost which is needed for an individual facility, an individual process. So with a digital solution, it's much easier to serve those areas as well, which they have in demand. So they need to have the possibility to get access to the market. And via this system, it could be done. And we developed our own system, a platform which is 24/7 available for lower amounts, easy processing, no communication at all, just a simple process to get the demand done and to be able to issue those facilities for the clients which are on that scale. And of course, a digital solution always reduces errors and costs, which is very important from all aspects.
Yeah, agree.
So before we dive into the main advantages maybe for the entire credit and surety market, because I know both of you have visions that are very interesting and we will share in a couple of minutes, but we focused a lot on the insurer, on the broker, but I mean, main point of attention is the client, right? So do you see benefits for the client also when it comes to being more digital on the broking side? Maybe, Karl?
Yes, absolutely.
I see big eyes.
There's no question about it, Lara. Absolutely. Also, the clients are benefiting from those solutions, making their processing, their dealing in these situations and tasks much easier, much faster, less costly, and all aspects we discussed earlier would also apply for the client, and therefore there is no fear from the client side for those solutions as far as I'm involved and as I speak to our clients. So they're really looking for solutions like this. They're asking for it. So this is one of the reasons we decided to have our own software developed. We invested money, and as far as I know, at least the German market is not too many brokers going into that business. But I think it's a good chance. I mean, early movers will benefit most.
Yeah, definitely. I can provide a bit of a case study here because I think this is a really interesting area, and actually the market is moving in this direction. So one thing that I've been working on with my team at Howden is providing an API solution or a digital solution to one of our large European banks. So insurance policies in the structured credit space can be quite operationally burdensome. You have to provide updates to the broker who provides it to the insurer. You have to monitor premium payments and make sure everything's paid on time. So what we're actually working on at the moment with this bank is an API integration between their system and our broking system. So all of the data can feed through, and that really is a first of its kind. Nobody's been able to do that before, so it's something I'm very, very proud of. But what this actually means is not only does it reduce the operational risk, but it creates an extension of that middle office function for the bank. So no longer do you have to ask the banker to provide the information about the utilization under an RCF. Instead, that data and information can flow through automatically to the broker, who will then calculate the premiums owed based on that utility, and then can go to the market and share that data with the market. So I think it's an incredibly exciting time. And I'm really, really seeing this drive now from clients that have large portfolios of risk.
And Lara, I may add, absolutely correct. I'm 100% with Jay. That's the background and reason why we started the cooperation with SCHUMANN, to have our API ready to use for the clients you serve. And this is an easy to get done solution for everyone you are working with and we have business with. Yeah.
Okay, so now you already started painting the bigger picture. That would be my next question, actually. I think what the audience is also very interested in hearing. Like, what, the both of you, what do you think? What influence and what advantages does a digital broker have for the entire credit and surety market? Like, speaking about growth, efficiency.
Yeah.
Jay, you're smiling. You want to start?
I'm smiling because this again is a really, really interesting area. So as a broker, you have huge influence on the direction of the market. And the reason for that is because if you are innovating and you're pushing the boundaries of what can be done in the space of technology, it means that you have an advantage. And then for your competitors and your peers in the market, it's no longer an advantage of innovation to do it. It's a disadvantage if they don't. So by pushing the boundaries of technology, we're actually steering the market to become more digitally enabled, enabling us to serve our clients to the best ability. So I think it's a great place to be as a broker and to keep on pushing.
Yeah.
Carl?
Again, I cannot add too much. I would drive the vision a bit further. We also need the digitalization in issuing the documents. I mean, today in the industry, at least in Germany, too much paperwork is done, too much paper stuff is delivered all around the overall processing and overall process. So we need to have a digital solution for the individual document as well. There's no need to transfer any paper from A to B to have that intention within the paper being transformed to anyone, to the beneficiary. And there's a lot of work to do. And I believe we need to inform and educate the market, all participants, all three. This is the applicant, this is the insurer or bank, and then, of course, the beneficiary to accept a digital solution. I mean, handling my bank depot with my little equity shares there, I can sell and buy after our meeting here in 5 seconds with one single iPhone. And this has to be the story in the future, in the near future, for our industry as well. There's no need, absolutely, to do any paper, and we should have a final solution which is 100% from the very beginning to the very end of the process, fully digitized, and nothing else.
So I see you're both very, very passionate.
Yeah.
And I know both of you are fostering projects to go into the direction. We do have a question from the audience. What is holding you back currently? Like, what are the challenges that you're facing in your digital transformation?
Carl?
As I said before, I mean, we do talk to the insurers. We try to convince them and reach out for them and really speak into details. And sometimes it's a bit hard to convince them. Of course, we do have IT restrictions, security issues, all that. But I think if other industries are able to find or develop such solutions, we should be able as well. So we keep on talking to them and bring all partners together. And for me, as a broker, I see myself in a kind of a mediator position to have those parties being in the industry and being involved, to bring them together, discuss with them, and really get the benefits on the table for both sides, that they finally tick the box and say, yes, we have to do it. And they are coming sooner or later. I'm 100% positive.
Yeah, really well articulated. And just to really compound that, I think, so we're in slightly different spaces. Carl's in surety, I'm in structured credit. Within the structured credit market, it's typically around 2% of an insurer's portfolio. So, getting the limelight is incredibly difficult. But on the flip side, our clients are probably some of the most digitally enabled institutions out there. So we have the push from the clients, but it's very, very difficult to get the resource and the investment from the insurer side, which really loops back round to what I was saying earlier. It's down to the broker to innovate. It's down to the broker to create these tech solutions and to then bring the insurers on board to it. So the size of structured credit is always a hurdle that we have to overcome, and the demand from the clients is a hurdle that we have to overcome because there is an imbalance there. But it's something that we've navigated really well to date.
Okay. So another question from the audience. We talked a little bit about the insurer being involved in your digital transformation as well. So one question is if you have like particular hurdles in mind that you have to master currently, where the insurer could be more helpful to like help you accomplish your visions that you kindly shared with us.
I'm happy to jump in here. I think insurers typically have product agnostic systems, which means they don't have the ability to go narrow and deep into the data. That's one thing that has slightly limited our ability to work with insurers. But what insurers have been really good at doing and really proactive in doing is finding additional solutions to sit on top of these policy administration systems. So a workflow system that sits on top and then can capture the data that is specific to your line of business. So we've had small blockers, small hurdles, but the insurers have been incredibly proactive at trying to find solutions to overcome these.
You want to add?
Our experience is summarized like this. In general, they're willing to discuss all these items, but in some cases, they are transferring their old IT systems into a new level. Yeah. Therefore, most of the activity, most of the budget is taken for this task. And all other ideas coming next then. Therefore, we have to wait probably until this step really is taken into the new IT development and area, and then they probably are more open to discuss our items, our views, our visions as well. But still, we have to penetrate always and have to discuss it and still have a focus on them and really force them to at least have one open ear to discuss it with us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so another question from the audience. What's the plan? What's the next step that you're focusing on at the moment? So I know you have a great vision, but how do you get there? And how can the market support you in reaching these goals? Because I think it's been pretty clear to the audience what you are planning and why it's helpful for them as well. Like it's a healthy thing for the entire credit and surety market. But what are the next steps, and how can insurers, clients maybe even help you?
Well, we're focusing on our own system, our surety manager, which is our in-house in development and which has a great demand from our clients. We have to develop this further. It's a really overall perspective, and we would like to push this into both areas. The clients are accepting it. The clients which are used to it and have that in place are very fascinated, and they really like. They bring in new ideas how to develop it further. And on the other hand, we have to discuss it and to connect it to the insurance parties we're working with, and the major players in Germany at least, and then even around Germany. This is our task for the near future, and this is where we put our money in and our efforts, very clearly. And of course, we are open for every other third party or wherever it comes from solution, if it fits into the overall idea of having more digitalized processes in the overall industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for me, I see the next problem to be around APIs. If you've got 10 brokers and 10 insurers, you've got 100 bilateral APIs.
That's a buzzword everybody's using, right? Everybody loves APIs.
Yep. So if you've got 100 APIs, all owned by 10 different people or created by 10 different brokers, how are we ensuring that the data that we can pull out is in a standardized form, it's in a way that we can report on? So again, just going back to ITFA, what I'm doing with the International Trade and Forfeiting Association is we've started up the data standardization working group to really set standards for what you should be capturing if you've got an API. That way, A, it enables scalability in the future. If there is a single ecosystem where where there's an API network, a broker can simply plug in and have access to all 10. But the data standardization also ensures that if a broker decides to go bilaterally, if the client is requesting data from multiple APIs, at least it's all going to come back in the same format. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, it's the client value that we have to push forward here. It's the value to the client that we need to be able to show. And by offering standardized data, gives them a position to report on it. It gives them better clarity of what the market can offer. Then there's the flip side. That information can also be taken to the regulator. And the regulator is exploring the product more and more and is gradually shedding more and more light on the structured credit product. But good data and getting good data faster is an incredibly important part of that advocacy work.
Okay, so you have the feeling that capacity providers would be even more open to grow the amount of capacity they provide if they had
without a shadow of a
data?
doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. I know that a confirmed letter of credit, the probability of default is typically less than 1%. I know that throughout COVID, it remained pretty resilient. However, when I go to capacity providers and I say, look, here's my book of business, can we get some more capacity? They go, that's fine, but that's just Howden's view. Can we get a view from the wider market? I said, that's difficult, actually. So it's about taking that statement and turning it into a fact for capacity providers to get them to inject additional capacity into the space. So there's no doubt in my mind that better data equals more capacity. And where we have that quote to bind ratio of around 15%, we need more capacity.
Carl, you agree, I guess?
Absolutely, I agree, and I believe the more correct the data, the faster the data are delivered, the more you can concentrate on the true things you have to do. This is capacity, risk management, and all those items. Now we're dealing too much with with all this old-fashioned stuff, which is not really necessary. It could be done by the machine, so absolutely in line with what Jay said.
Very interesting panel discussion. Thank you so much that you shared your visions with us. I hope the audience enjoyed it. And personally, I have to say, I think it's a very interesting journey both of you are on. And yeah, I'm very curious to see how you're developing in the future. So
hopefully
thank you so much.
Next year in your conference, we could report some results.
Yeah, happy to have you back,
Yeah,
definitely. So we have a
Excellent
catch up
idea.
then. Sounds good.
Brilliant. Well,
Thank
Lara.
you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.